Hey, look who's back, man. Did you guys miss me? Relax. Let's lie a little bit, alright? Let's say you miss me just so the old amplified man feels better about himself. It's alright to say you missed me, even if you didn't. We're back. We're back in the swing of things. It's 2019 now. Last time I talked to you guys, it was a whole year's difference, man. It was 2018. How fast these years fucking go by, man. I always said, after you hit the age of 18, the years just start fucking coming, man. Before you know it, you're 20, then you're 25. You blink, you're 30. Don't blink again, because then you're 35. What the fuck, man? And then who knows, man? 40, 45, 50. It probably goes even faster once you hit 40. I don't even want to fucking get there yet. Let's slow our fucking rolls. Let me enjoy my 30s. And let you guys enjoy your 20s. Or if you're fucking not even 15 yet, then you got the world at your fingertips. Unfortunately, it's a very fucking pathetic, sad, political world that we live in. Everybody is more in tune to what everyone else is doing and what's offending them. Nobody wants to fucking focus on themselves anymore. So, I'm already going on a tyrant. Look at that. We've been in this for 60 seconds, and I'm already making a lot of fucking enemies, pissing people off, and saying fuck you to groups of people. I love that shit. I miss you guys, alright? Let me break the ice here. It's been several weeks since I last was able to talk to you guys. I missed coming in front of this camera on this platform and shooting the shit about something that I am most passionate about in this world, and that is professional wrestling. And being able to share my views, thoughts, opinions, facts, and truth bombs with my amplified unit. That's what I've missed during the holidays, probably more than anything else, guys. Even being back in New York City. More than even that was talking to you guys. This is a new format, man. This is a podcast format we're going to try out. You guys wanted longer videos from the Amplified Man? Well, you're going to get them every single Sunday. If not Sunday, then be on the lookout. It could be Fridays and Saturdays at some points, but I'm going to try to make it every Sunday. You're going to get an amplified podcast. This is episode number 1, and we're going to do things a little differently. You're going to get a long pro wrestling video, trust me. This one is at least going to be an hour and a half long, so buckle up. But we're going to go long in these videos. We're going to cover multiple topics, man. A plethora of topics in the pro wrestling world. And there's no topic that's off limits, man. That's why this is podcast format. If you just want to pop in some earbuds, go to the gym, go do your shopping, go for a long fucking walk, let BC fucking drift you off to sleep, whatever you want to do, man. For an hour and a half, you just pop on the Amplified Man and you let me spiel what I'm spieling. And you guys just fucking listen, take it all in. Hopefully you enjoy it. If not, at least you walk away with one hell of a podcast, baby. We're going to entertain the shit out of you, and that's the hopes here. We're going to do this in the only way Amplified Man can do it. Obviously, I'm a big movie man, right? I'm making my own movie, Tyler's Day 30. We hope to finish that this spring and give it to you guys by 2020 spring. Hopefully, if all goes right, man, maybe we can even get some distribution the end of 2019, the end of this year. I wouldn't bet on it. It looks like 2020. But that's how we're going to run this podcast, man. We're going to break up the main stories into scenes. We're going to have the opening credits. We're going to have the end credits. We're going to talk about every big story and every nook and cranny in between. So, I'm going to shut the fuck up about what we're going to get to in this podcast. I'm just going to start getting to it. And again, we're going to start with the opening credits. These are just some hot topics that I want to spitfire real quickly before we get into some of the bigger stories. And I first want to say to Mean Gene Okerlund's family and friends, thoughts, prayers, strength, support is with you guys 110% from the Amplified Man and the Amplified Unit. Mean Gene Okerlund was a legend in this business, will never be forgotten. Sometimes we say that about every son of a bitch that comes along. But with Mean Gene Okerlund, it is truth. He will never be forgotten because he simply can't be. He was that larger than life. And I left a tweet last week after this happened, actually just hours after the news broke. And in that tweet, I told you guys how pro wrestling, it was so epic back in the day because of larger-than-life characters. And the only way pro wrestling is going to get hot like it once was again is if it devotes its time to making and creating larger-than-life characters. Mean Gene Okerlund was not a wrestler, but that did not steer him away from becoming a larger-than-life character. Somebody that captivated us every time he showed up and appeared on our television sets or on pay-per-view. That was Mean Gene Okerlund. Not even a wrestler, but captivated us. Not even a wrestler, but one of the most larger-than-life characters that I can possibly remember going back 30 years of watching this product. Mean Gene Okerlund will never be forgotten because he simply cannot be. I am so thankful that I got to grow up through younger BC days into my teenage years and beyond, watching and being able to enjoy Mean Gene Okerlund. So we are saddened of the loss of Mean Gene, but we are smiling because we had Mean Gene Okerlund in our lives, and that is epic. So 76 years old, I believe he was. So a long, prosperous life, man. Some say maybe he had another decade or two of fucking busting out the microphone in the business. Who knows, man? He suffered a pretty bad fall 4 days before he actually passed away. He broke some ribs, and then his health kind of deteriorated from there. But according to his son, I'm getting choked up already talking about Mean Gene, man. According to his son, he was kind of in frail health even before the fall. So I don't know, man. Gene Okerlund, he lived a full life, man. I mean, I know it's sad, and I know to some people you could even use the word tragic, but I'm not going to, man. 76 years of the life that Gene Okerlund had was fucking epic. At least from a viewing standpoint, a bystander who was watching Mean Gene Okerlund throughout his professional career and knowing how he liked to live his personal life, I think Gene Okerlund would look back and say, that was pretty fucking epic. I would have liked to stay another fucking 5-10 years at least. I would have liked to stay with my wife a few more years, but that was an epic life. And for those reasons, I choose to be smiling and more happy that we had Gene Okerlund rather than saddened that we lost Gene Okerlund, man. He was just a fucking iconic, man. Iconic. I have to move on because there's so many stories to go, but man, I could easily devote a whole hour-and-a-half podcast video to Gene Okerlund. That's how epic and how many moments he gave us. But moving on, AEW, guys, All Elite Wrestling is a real thing now. This has been confirmed. Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, even Brandy Rhodes, a few other names that you might know of, they're all coming together and creating the AEW All Elite Wrestling. This is the best fucking news possible. Now, you gotta go about it the right ways. Before they actually launch a product, I'm hoping that they do their research, they put their brains together, and they learn from past mistakes of people that tried to go toe-to-toe with Vince McMahon. But do I believe they should go toe-to-toe with Vince? 110%. Absolutely. If you're just gonna flounder where you can have a wrestling promotion, they're a dime a dozen. There's hundreds of wrestling promotions actually across the country alone. Just the United States. Before you even go into other countries. The United States alone, there's hundreds. Right? They're just not epic or on a big scale or diesel fueled. They're names you don't probably know of. But everybody's got a promotion. Yours might be bigger than a lot, maybe even most. Maybe not quite what ROH is, nowhere near WWE. Maybe you just want to compete with ROH. Maybe you don't want to compete at all and just be AEW. But they're a dime a dozen. At a time right now where pro wrestling is lacking any real interest in intrigue. And that's in large part thanks to WWE and their carelessness and recklessness with their own product. And that was the main fucking product in the main company for years and years now. So once they started suffering from within, the whole kind of wrestling landscape kind of took a back seat. And I haven't had that enthusiastic feeling that I've had in years past. 2018 was the worst. So what does AEW do now? ROH was the closest to Vince, but they couldn't even come near him, and I don't even think they ever really tried. So they're just kind of there. That's cool if ROH just wants to kind of be there. I don't think AEW, with the Young Bucks' knowledge and brain, and Cody Rhodes and his knowledge and brain skills and power and strengths that he has in this business, he knows a lot more than the average bear. The Young Bucks, their business sense is second to none. If anybody can compete with Vince, it would be these individuals. I just hope it's the right way. I'm not saying out of the gate just start throwing haymakers at Vince McMahon. Get your feet wet, get your feet on the ground, then get your feet wet, then start to understand what works, what doesn't. But once you start to understand and get that knowledge, dude, bro, there ain't no fucking reason why you can't punch Vince McMahon in his mouth. And you do that shit. And you punch him again, and you throw another punch and a jab and some uppercuts. And before you know it, Eric Bischoff and Ted Turner's way of going about things and way to do business wasn't the only way to knock out Vince McMahon, or at least drop Vince McMahon. We're not saying we want WWE to be fucking knocked out for the 10 count and they're done. Just like when WCW was around, I didn't want to see Vince get beat, but I loved the competition. I loved the fact that somebody was knocking Vince McMahon down. Nobody's done that again. Now, Ted Turner, Eric Bischoff's philosophy was let's throw a bunch of money at everyone and steal Vince McMahon's talents. That worked, okay. Now, AEW is not going to have that kind of money. But what they do have working for them is now talents are fed up with WWE. They don't want to work with Vince because they know how they're going to be utilized or not utilized. So they voluntarily want to go over to AEW. They might not be making the millions that Ted Turner and Eric Bischoff was offering people when people would defect to WCW back in the Monday Night Wars, but people want to show up to AEW, create something epic and special, and know that if they do such, the money will come in later. So they can absolutely get epic talent. Who knows what talent, man? Everyone thinks this is just going to be a flips and divesy type of promotion. And it's just going to be just the pure wrestling, no real entertainment. So, yeah, it's going to be great for wrestling, but where's the real entertainment going to be? I don't think that at all. I think Cody Rhodes and Young Bucks, they have the fucking brain power, capacity, and skills in this business sense, and just being in the pro wrestling business as pro wrestlers. They know what they have to do to compete. They know what they have to do to draw in superstars. They know what they have to do to create an epic, intriguing product. Don't think this isn't going to be an entertainment show as well. They're going to try to captivate us from the opening bell to the end bell. That's fucking epic. Who knows what television station this ends up on, but trust me, I don't think they're doing this without a TV deal backing them. Without an actual business plan. And they have one. We're all going to be fucking acquainted to that as the weeks and months roll on. I think it's fucking epic. I think it's funny how Goldberg is following them on social media, and they, who are not following a lot of people, they're following Goldberg. So back to the entertainment aspect, and everyone thinks it's just going to be pure wrestling and no entertainment. No, Goldberg isn't known as the best fucking pound for pound, move for move wrestler. But yet, there's a good chance Goldberg could show up to an event like an AEW, or sign maybe a 6-month contract. Who the fuck knows? To help them get their feet wet, to help them get name recognition. BC, what the fuck's Goldberg gonna really do? You know what? A lot. I don't see Goldberg just showing up to ROH and fucking steamrolling motherfuckers, but if he did, guess who's gonna tune in to ROH even more than he already does? The Amplified Man. If Goldberg shows up to TNA, guess who's going to tune into TNA? And I never do. The Amplified Man. They can get that, and they can get the actual pro wrestlers that didn't have the platform over with Vince, because they were underutilized or not utilized. They can get the Nevilles. They can get, if Sasha Banks finally gets fed up and walks, they can get a Sasha Banks in the future. CM Punk could legit come back to AEW. I'm not the biggest CM Punk fan, you guys know that, not by a long shot. But I think if Punk was going to return to pro wrestling, I don't think it should be with Vince right now, nor do I think it would be. But showing up at an AEW, and could you imagine the splash that that would create? If AJ Lee and CM Punk one day showed up in AEW? Don't tell me this is not a promotion that can compete with Vince. It damn sure can. I have the confidence in Cody, the Young Bucks, and everybody associated with AEW. And I know the question is, BC, would you ever work for AEW? Blink of an eye, snap of a finger, the answer is yes. BC, you always said with Vince and WWE, you wouldn't go work for them right now. You're damn right I wouldn't. If you would have told me 10 years ago Vince McMahon offered the Amplified Man a job with WWE, creative or an on-air talent, if you would have told me, I would have said no. I would have said you've done fallen and hit your head too many times as a kid. You're off your fucking rocker. Of course I'm working for Vince. I don't even care what he pays me, I'll work for free. But here we are, 2019 now, and I would have said this in 2018. No. Right now, working for Vince McMahon seems like fucking horror. It seems like terror. It seems like, honestly, something tragic. That is something I wouldn't wish on anybody to go and work for WWE in the state of affairs that they are in right now. WWE is in flux to the epic most top point they could possibly be in flux. And it's not a good flux. It's not a good transition. It's not a good change. And we're going to get to that in Scene 1. This is just the opening credits and we're already getting amplified. In Scene 1, we're going to talk about the change. And I got a little something to tell Vince McMahon. And it's an amplified message. That'll be later in this podcast. But if you would have told me 10 years ago I would say no to Vince McMahon and WWE for a job, I would have called you fucking insane. But now I can honestly say, no, I would never want to go and work for Vince McMahon right now or the WWE. I'd be out of there in 1 week, if even. I would butt heads with everybody, including Vince. I'd be out in 1 week. Nobody would be able to fucking stand me. Because I would not allow nonsensical stupidity and bullshit. And that's what that whole company is right now. But AEW... these are people I would love to work with. These are people I would love to collaborate and sit around a fucking table with and bounce around ideas. I don't care if I'm in creative with them or if I'm just an on-air talent. I would love to work with AEW. And that is me saying that directly if this video gets to Cody Rhodes or Brandy or Young Bucks or anybody and everybody associated with AEW. I'll help put you on the fucking map. Not saying I got the fucking audience right now to do so. I'm still coming up on this platform. But you put me on a fucking main stage, motherfucker, and I'm gonna captivate motherfuckers. How do I know that? Because I know my promos in these videos are better than 90% of the wrestlers out there in the world today. That's sad. WWE's wrestlers, 90+% of them can't cut a promo like the Amplified Man. That is sad. That's bullshit. And that's a reason why they're failing. Because fans, or people that review the product, or smarks, or whatever you want to call, people that watch the product, and especially WWE, when they're better than the actual talent, or they're bigger, or this, that, and the other thing, man, that's an issue. They're no longer larger than life. But AEW, these are people I can work with. These are people that we can create fucking magic. So you're damn right. AEW comes a-knocking, the Amplified Man is gonna come and answering. I assure you of that. Those were the opening credits. I wish Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Brandy Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is the executive vice president of AEW. Brandy Rhodes is the chief operating officer or some shit, man. Chief branding officer, I believe is what she is. So Brandy is the branding officer of AEW. The Young Bucks running the ship. It's fucking epic, man. I think this is awesome for pro wrestling. And eventually, not right off the gates, but eventually I think they absolutely have the power to punch Vince McMahon's company right in the fucking mug. Those were the opening credits, guys. Let's get to the feature attraction in this podcast. We got lots of good scenes coming up. We're going to talk Vince McMahon and this change that he guaranteed everybody and how the Amplified Man isn't going to wait any longer. It's either tomorrow night or nothing. That's going to be coming up in Scene 1. We're going to talk Natty, fucking Natty. What the fuck? We're not going to talk Natty. Why should I talk Natty? Natty got fucking destroyed by Ronda Rousey. She's to the back of the line. We're going to talk Nia Jax. The heat on Nia Jax. We're gonna talk the heat on Seth Rollins in the locker room. We're gonna talk, and in fucking social media in general, and we're gonna talk about how fucking pansy this world is getting. We're gonna talk the whole Louis C.K. thing, and why Seth Rollins is in fucking trouble. We're gonna talk a little bit of Sasha Banks. Man, we got a lot. We're gonna talk fucking Toni Storm and the tragic shit that happened to her on social media. We're going to talk Becky Lynch blasting Corey Graves. We got so much to talk about. Let's shut the fuck up so we can get even re-amplified. Here we go, guys. Let's hit the feature. Scene 1. Take 1. Change on Raw. Action. My amplified unit. Happy 2019 to all you guys. Hopefully your 2019s have started off in the right direction and you're kicking ass in 2019. Whether 2018 was good to you or not, hopefully 2019 is your year, man. To do everything you wanted to do, everything you need to do, everything you should be doing, all wrapped up into one kick-ass year. I really do hope that for all you guys. And we're going to continue to kick ass here on this channel. And it's so good to be back. Had a good break, man. Got to see some family up in New England. Took some personal time down in Florida. Got lost in the middle of the country for a little bit of time. And now we're back on track. Kicking ass in 2019. And what better way to start than with something new we're going to do in 2019. So many of you guys are always asking me to do a podcast. And I gotta be honest, guys, that's not really in my forte, to be honest. It's not really in my lane. I like this, where it's me in front of this camera talking directly to you guys. It's much more in your face. I get my points across much better. It's just my type of thing. So I said, what can I do for you guys? Podcast is obviously something that's longer, an hour plus even. So what can we do? How can we meet in the middle ground? So I said, right here on YouTube, my type of platform, you're going to get the same thing that I always give you guys, me in front of this camera, giving you guys 110% amplification, always. But I'm going to give you over an hour, at least once a week, of a podcast type format. So many different topics we're going to cover. We're going to at least go an hour long. Most of the time, it'll be over an hour. And it'll, again, be in podcast form. Me shooting the shit with you guys, but not just one or two topics. We're going to cover a plethora of topics, situations, anything and everything going on in the wrestling world that's of importance. Top stories and top topics, guys. That is what we are going to go over at least once a week. This is episode 1. This is a YouTube type of podcast. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. I'm meeting you in the middle here. You guys always want longer videos, more in podcast form. I don't really want to go on a different platform, so this is how we're going to do it for now. If we kick ass on it, and it's a tremendous success, who knows? One day maybe I go into a more formulaic type of podcast. How's that? Wow, 2019, we're dropping even bigger words, baby. That's right. My GED is taking me places, brother. So that's what we're doing, man. And as you can see, scene 1, take 1, we are talking about the change of Raw in Monday Night Raw and where we need to go, where Vince McMahon needs to go. And I entitled this scene 1, simply put, Dear Vince. Because whether Vince McMahon hears this or not, and I tend to think he is going to hear about it because he has his cronies and his henchmen doing the work for him and seeing on social media what is being said to him and about him. Some way or another, this is going to get to Vince McMahon, especially if you guys share this on social media or right here on this platform as well. This will get to Vince McMahon. Whether he makes a fucking change or not, who the fuck knows? Probably not. But I want to at least get this out into the universe. Not just the WWE bubble universe, the entire universe. I want this to be out there before Monday Night Raw. And here we sit 24 hours before Raw. I want this out in the universe to Vince McMahon before he drops a dud tomorrow night, before he throws up a mulligan, before he does not change one iota of business tomorrow. I want this out there. that Vince McMahon needs to absolutely change the foundation of Raw and WWE as a company tomorrow night. This should have been a process going on since they told everybody they are acknowledging that WWE is a train wreck, that Monday Night Raw is a travesty of epic proportions. The second they announced that before the holidays, their wheels started to be set in motion, or should have been. The hamster in their dome piece should have been spinning. Ideas, talks, discussions, meetings, all should have been transpiring before, during, and now after the holidays to make Raw and WWE, the company, better than ever before. Is that possible? Maybe not. The Attitude Era is going to be really hard to top. But it needs to be better than it ever was in the last 10 to 15 years, no question. Even the Ruthless Aggression Era, we deserve and demand better than that. Because that was just a shell of itself of what the Attitude Era was. Ruthless Aggression was the start of the Attitude Era declining. It's the truth. A lot of people grew up in the Ruthless Aggression Era, so that means something special to a lot of you guys. I understand. But don't get it twisted. That was the decline of the company, trust me. Because it started the wheels in motion to what we have today, which is absolute shit. So the second, a few weeks ago, that they announced that they are acknowledging this problem, there is an issue, and we are going to change the foundation of our business, and we're going to start listening to you, the fans. We're going to start giving you new, refreshed matches you give a shit about, not redundancy. We're going to give you new faces that you can give a shit about. Before they even announced it, they should have been having these talks, discussions, and meetings. Something tells me they're not taking this seriously, though. Something tells me we're going to still get the regurgitated, redundant bullshit. Because so far, the changes that they've made are nothing more than Band-Aids. If you get a cut that's a fucking inch deep at least, right through your fucking skin, you can see the fucking bone, chances are you need stitches. No. If you don't have the money, you don't have the insurance to go to the hospital, what would your parents do back in the day? Well, let me tell you, because I grew up in the fucking projects. I grew up as one of those kids who you could see the fucking bone, but you had to put the Band-Aid on it, because you couldn't afford stitches. So what do? Again, you put a Band-Aid on it. And so far, Vince McMahon, WWE, has shown that they're only ready to put Band-Aids on these issues. That's a fucking problem, because we not only need stitches, we need absolute emergency. I'll even go that far, surgery. Not just stitches, surgery needs to be done on Monday Night Raw in this entire company. So far what they've done is Band-Aids. And when I'm hearing in the community, the wrestling community, which is always a fucking doozy to listen to, a bunch of fucking numbskulls, idiots and morons coming together and acting like they know what the fuck they're talking about in front of these cameras, or on their little fucking podcasts. Bullshit. On my fucking time off, it was so enjoyable. Not that I do anyway, but just to get away from all these fucking so-called know-it-alls in this community. It was so good not to fucking even hear or even a mention on social media of one of these fucking clowns. But in the wrestling community, let me get back to my point, everybody wants to give WWE mulligans these last few weeks. It was the holidays. Everybody knows the ratings are down and attendance even more down than it usually is, if that's even possible, because the attendance today at a WWE show is that of a TNA Impact show. The only difference is I think TNA is drawing more numbers than WWE in live attendance. Shit. I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case. I'm half being humorous, but in reality, I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case or ends up being the case. But the community is giving the last few weeks, they're giving WWE a mulligan. It's the holidays. And then they're even going to give tomorrow night's show a mulligan, right? We're going to give you a week back to get used to things and get back in the swing of things. But later on in the month, or in February, if we don't see change, we're going to lay into you. Well, I'm not going to be so generous because I've been waiting over 10 fucking years. The generosity stopped weeks ago when you announced and acknowledged you had the fucking issue, which you should have done years ago. The generosity, the mulligans, The me taking it easy on you, if I ever really fucking did. On this channel, we didn't really take it easy on them. But the easiness, the mulligans, and the generosity stopped weeks ago. So tomorrow night, Vince, you have to bring the change that you told everybody you were going to bring. I'm not going to wait till next Monday, or the Monday after, or leading into WrestleMania, or even after WrestleMania. For those that said change doesn't happen overnight, I understand. Rome wasn't built in a day. But before you even made that announcement, you should have acknowledged that you had the problem within your company. That Raw was trash. Then, once you announced it, you had to hit the bricks running, man. You had to hit the pavement running and hit those fucking bricks out of the fucking park. You had to come with actual change. Even if you're holding boardroom meetings on Christmas, I don't give a fuck. You have to bring the change. You can't just wait. The last couple of weeks after you fucking announce you're gonna bring change are just holiday shows, so we don't really get anything of importance. And then, the first week of the new year, Monday Night Raw, and it's still a mulligan we gotta throw you? Because you're not fully into the change swing of things? Bullshit! The matches that we have should be fresh anyway. That shouldn't be one of your selling points. We're gonna bring you fresh matches. You should be doing that anyway. We're gonna bring you new faces. We don't necessarily need new faces. We need the faces that you have now. We need to give a fuck about them. Throwing us individuals like a fucking EC3 does shit if you don't know what to do with an EC3. Heavy machinery does shit for me if you don't know what to do with heavy machinery. And you don't know what to do with your entire tag division, so what the fuck makes us think heavy machinery is gonna be anything? You throw on a Nikki Cross. Well, shit, she's been on the main roster for several months now. I remember her on the stage at the Evolution announcement. You didn't know what the fuck to do with her, so you held her on the dark matches before SmackDown even goes live. So nobody even knew she was on the main roster. Now all of a sudden she's coming soon? What, do you now all of a sudden have something for Nikki Cross? When you spent so much time of 2018 not knowing what the fuck to do with Ember Moon, not knowing what the fuck to do with Sasha Banks, not knowing what the fuck to do with Naomi, or Asuka before she finally won the championship in December. But now Nikki Cross, you got something for her, okay. And then you have Lacey Evans. What the fuck? Who cares about Lacey Evans? Show of hands. 1, 2... Okay, 3 people care about Lacey Evans out there on the amp unit. Give me a break. What the fuck is Lacey Evans gonna do? Another blonde bombshell for Vince McMahon to fucking orgasm over out in the back when he's fucking bored as hell from one of his tag team matches. He'll be in a separate little room in gorilla position, a separate little fucking section that he'll enclose. He'll have a little curtain, and he'll fucking get off on Lacey Evans, one of his little blonde bombshells. Lacey Evans isn't ready for no fucking main roster. You know how I fucking know? Because there is a million women out there who are ready over her. Not just in the WWE bubble, that includes NXT. But if you go around the world, not just Japan, not just here fucking down in Mexico, not just over in fucking Canada, who's got fucking amazing talent coming out of Canada lately. I don't know if you guys have been fucking keeping track outside the WWE bubble. But the females are coming out of the woodwork. And they're fucking flawless, some of these females. And you have Lacey Evans as a promo that is supposed to excite us. Lacey Evans, from Canada to Mexico to Japan, everywhere around the world. The female talent that could be captivating us. Down in NXT, let's stick with the WWE bubble. Then let's go with Kairi Sane. Io Shirai. Could you imagine these females on the main roster kicking ass and mixing up with Asuka and Charlotte, Sasha and Ember? And we get Lacey Evans. What are these new faces doing for your product? These are scrubs of NXT. And if you guys are big fans of heavy machinery, or maybe you are a big fan of Lacey Evans, I don't know how the fuck that happens. Maybe you're a big fan of EC3. What the fuck are they doing for this product? You know damn well if you're diehard fans of them, you know they were scrubs in NXT. They barely got any fucking TV time in NXT, and you know it. And they're going over to the main roster, but besides Nikki Cross, she got the most airtime out of them. EC3 would be a distant second. EC3 was nothing in NXT. They never captivated anybody down in NXT and grabbed those brass rings that Vince always talks about. Nikki Cross came the closest. I actually like Nikki Cross. But what the fuck are they going to do with her? Probably nothing, let's be honest. But these are the scrubs of NXT. H was never going to give that strap for Nikki Cross in NXT and let her fucking flourish for 6 months. EC3 wasn't capturing the NXT championship. Heavy Machinery wasn't capturing those championships, the tag straps. Lacey Evans wasn't fucking wooing and wowing the NXT audience every Wednesday and on takeovers. No, these are the scrubs. You tell me Johnny Gargano's coming over, Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream, I don't care who has the strap now or not. You tell me you're going to shake things up and bring change, and you're bringing some fucking amazing talent to the Raw roster? You give me those names? You give me Bianca Belair? You give me Kairi Sane? You give me Baszler? You give me Io Shirai? You give me those type of names? Now I'm a little more excited. But when you sit there and you tell me Lacey Evans is coming up, these are going to be amazing matches. Heavy Machinery, get excited. EC3's coming, be aware. Oh boy, I can hardly hold my anti-excitement. So those are your fresh faces. A, they're scrubs from NXT, so nobody really gives a fuck about them. What electricity, what excitement, what enthusiastic fucking captivation are they really going to give us? Zero. And then on top of that, if you're not fixing creative, then you're not really fixing the problem. You're not putting stitches or even going into surgery on the issue. You're just putting a Band-Aid on it. The creative part and the booking part of WWE's company is where we have to start with this problem. The creativity and the lack thereof, your creative writers, that's where the issue lies. They're not bringing any creative juice to the table. Vince McMahon vetoing and going his own route isn't helping the situation. Bring on people that know what the fuck they're talking about and what the fuck they're doing. I'll give you an egotistical moment right now. People like the Amplified Man. And no, I would not take the job right now. If Vince McMahon called me right now and said, I want you to be one of our head creators for WWE, I'm sorry guys, I will not do it. First of all, I have a movie and other projects I have to take care of in 2019 first. But I just could not drop everything and do that. And nor would I want to do that position right now. Because Vince would have to prove to me that he's willing to change. And that he is changing. And that he's letting the writers run the show a little bit more. Until I saw that, there's no way I could accept that job. Because I'd be in there for 1 week tops. And then I'd be fired. Because me and Vince would be butting heads. I already know how that would go. You show me change and that you're willing to invest into it and invest in me, then I would write for your show. So no, guys, I wouldn't actually do it. But people like me need to be writing these shows. People that have been around since the fucking 80s at least. And saw that era of 80s wrestling. Into the Attitude Era. Into Ruthless Aggression. Into the Boredom Era of today. Know what the fuck works. Bringing in faces that we want to see in the real matches that we want to see, but more so, not just good matches, storylines and feuds that we can get behind. That's the part of pro wrestling that we're missing here in WWE. We no longer give a shit about stories and feuds because there is none. And it starts with the characters. There's none of them. There's no larger-than-life superstars anymore. Especially on Raw. Let's take Raw. Who's your larger-than-life superstar? It ain't Braun Strowman. They ruined him. Seth Rollins could have been probably on 2 different occasions, but they ruined it. Roman Reigns is who they spent 4 straight years on. He's not even around anymore. And even when he was, over 50% of the crowd at least never got behind him as a true larger-than-life hero or larger-than-life superstar. That's a problem. When you spent 4 years backing one guy, and it was the one guy that everyone couldn't even get behind. Back in the day, in those 80s, heading into the early 90s, we had the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Randy Savage. You talk about larger than life, you're talking that. You go into the Attitude Era, we had guys like The Undertaker, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Jacked Up H. Larger than life. Nowadays, you're giving me Mustafa Ali, and you're telling me that's the change that you want. I went from The Undertaker to Mustafa Ali. I went from Randy Savage to Mustafa Ali. I went from Hulk Hogan and Steve Austin and The Rock to Mustafa Ali. And you're telling me that's not an issue? And you're telling me this is change? And I know, you got the dipshits out there on social media. Mustafa Ali's getting a break, finally. Mustafa Ali's the change we've been looking for. BC, calm down. He brings good matches, BC. I can get good matches down the street at the local bingo hall. What I need is larger-than-life characters. Putting on damn good wrestling matches with storylines and feuds I give a fuck about. You're not selling me that Mustafa Ali is larger than life. The guy is 5'8", $170 soaking wet. I don't give a fuck if he wants to go around calling himself 5'9" or 5'10" and $190 and $195. Bullshit. 5'7", 5'8", tops I'm giving this motherfucker $170 soaking wet. And he's your larger-than-life superstar. And I'm gonna drop some facts on you guys. I'll have another egotistical moment, if I may. I drop better promos on these videos on the daily, or when I do upload. I drop better promos than Mustafa Ali will ever drop in his entire career. That's not hating on the motherfucker. Mustafa's actually a good dude in real life. But I'm not here to get participation trophies around. I'm not here to go, oh, at least he's getting a break. Hey, he's getting a break. This is change. No, I'm here to tell you the truth. I don't give a fuck about seeing a little fucking Mustafa Ali running around with mediocre to less than mediocre mic skills. What kind of feuds and stories is he really gonna captivate us with? His promos are gonna captivate you? His flips and dives matches are gonna ooh and ah you? On the big stage? What's next? Are those dipshits on social media gonna ask for Mustafa to be in the main event of WrestleMania? When I am bigger than the superstars, when I cut better promos than the superstars, then I have to ask the question, are they really superstars? If this is the way that pro wrestling is going, I want no part of that. And I will remain on these channels, on making these videos, on this channel, I will remain steadfast in how I go about my business. I will keep demanding change, but the right kind of change. Not just bringing 205 Live guys over in scrubs from NXT, and you know I'm telling the truth. Even if you're fans of these guys and ladies, they're either scrubs or flips and dives, guys and gals, and that is what we don't need. You saw what a success 205 Live was, didn't you? Oh wait, it wasn't. The reason isn't just because Vince didn't give them the time or the stage. It's because people tuned in and quickly tuned the fuck out. That's okay for a certain niche. A certain niche of people and fan base. But to tell me that I have to spend money on WrestleMania or go there, or have to, because this is what I love, this is fucking professional wrestling, it's in the blood, it's in the fucking bones. So you're damn right, when I say have to, I have to. I'm gonna tune into WrestleMania. I'm gonna pay for it either on the network, or on pay-per-view, or I'm gonna show up. Because that's what I love. And you're telling me that when I show up, Mustafa Ali is gonna be in one of those main matches. Because that's where the change is heading. It's one thing to have Finn Balor. That's bad enough. At least I'm okay with Finn Balor. I'd much rather the Demon. But you want to give me Finn Balor, pop collar, smiley Finn, and not even the Demon? Okay, I'll give you a mulligan. Then you want to throw me Neville. Okay, at least Neville can go. His promos are at least a little better, but that's the line. How many more guys, aside from Balor and Neville? So now you want to throw in Mustafa Ali. Where does it end? Does Cedric Alexander come next? Are we going to bring back Rich Swann? I'm okay with smaller dudes to a point. If you tell me Johnny Gargano's coming over, I'm down. You tell me Tommaso Ciampa's coming down, I'm down. Because I know they can carry those feuds. But when you start throwing in guys like Mustafa Ali, and people are being so stupid on social media, they actually think this is going to captivate, this is what's going to bring WWE back to its fucking dominance. People in matches involving Mustafa. Fuck out of here, man. So now every Tuesday night, I'm watching Mustafa defeat people like Daniel Bryan. If you're okay with that and you're giving that a golf clap, that's all you, man. Do you on the side. Don't ever tell the Amplified Man that I should be down with that type of shit. That's not the change this company needs. So, dear Vince, change it from the ground up. Change it at the very foundation, the core of your foundation. Inside outwards. That's how you change this company. You start with your creative powers that be. You start with your booking. You start with yourself. You start creating superstars that are larger than life. And then we'll give a shit. And then what you do, here's a crazy concept. You put those larger than life superstars in something we used to call a storyline. And once you do that, you start something, here's a crazy concept. You start something that we all get behind called a feud. A storyline leading to a feud between two larger-than-life characters. Fucking A, baby! Pro wrestling at its best. A good guy and a bad guy going at it. When you start bringing back the simplistic basics of pro wrestling, that's where you start with change. You don't gotta throw in new faces, do something with the faces you have. You don't gotta claim you're gonna give us fresh matches. You just gotta do it and make it lead to something. Mustafa Ali is your big change, right? Aside from the NXT scrubs. All right. You guys don't believe what I'm telling you? Let's let this thing play out for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Hell, WrestleMania and beyond. And by WrestleMania, if Mustafa Ali did not captivate me, did not captivate you, you can come right back here and say, Amplified Man, I had a feeling you were right. Ends up, turns out, you were fucking right. All this time dedicated to 5'7", 5'8", $170 soaking wet Mustafa Ali with mediocre to zero mic skills. And meanwhile, I'm over here on YouTube dropping badass promos that Mustafa can never touch in his lifetime. I'm over here bigger than Mustafa Ali. Not just muscle-wise, but taller and everything. I'm not the tallest fucking dude. I should not be bigger than the pro wrestlers in my main event on WWE. I should not be cutting better promos. I should not be captivating pro wrestling fans more than the actual superstars, especially when they're beating Daniel Bryan in main events of SmackDown or Raw. Vince, you want to change, you do what I just said, you start with the simplistic basics, and I promise you, change will be a-rolling. And while you're at it, bring back things like the Hardcore Championship. Little things like that, Vince, go a long way. Throughout an entire 3-hour program, we're cutting backstage, and at any time, at any moment, anybody can try to win the Hardcore Championship backstage. That's what it was. For those of you newer fans, you don't really know about the Hardcore Championship. You think it's just a championship that was defended in the ring? No. Do your research. It was one of the funnest parts back in that Attitude Era. Because during the show and during all the big storylines and the big feuds, the Hardcore Championship was defended 24/7 anywhere. It could be in a bar room, it could be in the supermarket, it could be outside in the snow. That was a real fucking thing. Who was that, guys? Al Snow and Bob Holly, maybe? I forgot, but it was out in a fucking blizzard. And they were beating the fuck out of each other, and it was fucking epic. Bring back things like that, so that during your 3-hour show, you're cutting back and you're keeping your fans and your audience interested. We just ended one storyline. We just ended one segment, but oh shit, we're going backstage. The son of a bitch with the championship is looking every which way, turning. He's got eyes behind the back of his fucking head. He's looking all over the place. Who's gonna jump me? Who's gonna try to take my championship? If you drag that out every Monday, man, that's fun. That's captivating. Try that shit. Bring that back. Little things like that. When you start a Monday Night Raw, have somebody in the parking lot waiting for his nemesis to arrive. And then during the show, you keep cutting backstage and that person is still waiting. That creates anticipation. And when you can create anticipation with your audience, you're going to captivate them, and you're going to make them drop the remote control, and you're going to make them stay tuned. It's fun. Or somebody's going out and looking for somebody. Maybe they're out around the town, going to supermarkets, going to bar rooms. They're going to look for their nemesis, who refused to show up, but you know they're in town. And after every match or every other match, you keep cutting back, and the camera is following this person trying to get to his nemesis. Shit like that. You used to do it all the time, and it's why your program was hitting 5, 6, and even 7s in the ratings. Now all of a sudden, nothing. You stop being creative. Every single segment is in the ring with redundant matches, or they're in the ring cutting a promo in the ring. There's no different scenery. There's nothing epic happening. Backstage, you'll go back there if you're just doing a backstage interview. Nothing special about that. You're not captivating us with cool shit anymore. Where is the creativity? We can pick on and we can fuck with Vince Russo all we want. We all know I do it on this channel a lot. But Vince Russo at least brought the goods, man. No matter how much he gets trashed, he was a big part of the reason the Attitude Era gave us the cool shit. Sure, Vince McMahon had to okay it, but it was Vince Russo that racked his brain every fucking week to bring that script to Vince. Now you have these Hollywood writers that don't know a lick about WWE or probably professional wrestling as a whole, and they bring you the most redundant shit. And meanwhile, Vince McMahon's head is so far up the XFL's ass, he didn't even realize or he just didn't give a fuck. Triple H was just caring about his NXT baby, and Stephanie McMahon was just worried about how she can make WWE look like this awesome charitable cause. That's the truth. And that's why they all came together to tell us they're going to create change. And they're going to start listening to us more. And that they failed. And that there was an issue. And that's why they used the storyline that we are going to start managing Raw again. And SmackDown. And WWE. It's because in real life, they were absentees. Sure, they were the end, be-all, end-all. They were the ones that were signing the approvals. 1, 2, maybe all of them were there every week, but their heads were so far up their other endeavors' asses, they weren't really caring about WWE. So that's why they came in front of the camera on live TV on Raw and said, we are going to start managing again. We are going to be there. We are going to listen. Sure, a lot of it was stupid fucking nonsensical bullshit. Sure, they're not actually going to invest all their time to listening to us or fully changing. But it was actually real what they said. They have been absentees. And now they're really going to start to fucking try to grab a stranglehold on their product again, on their company. The problem is, if you're not addressing the issue at its root, the root of the problem, then you're not really going to fix the problem. You're going to put these little band-aids that are not going to fix anything. That's a fucking issue. So we got to get word to Vince McMahon. You got 24 fucking hours. The same redundant bullshit that you're most likely going to give us tomorrow, scrap it. You give us the change that is fucking needed. Start with that shit, man. And when you do that, I promise you, change will be rolling. People will get behind you. People will start believing you. But right now, nobody's going to believe you because nor should they. Come on, man. You have a chance for the new year. People are giving you mulligans. Oh, we'll wait a few weeks in the new year. We'll wait till February. We'll wait till WrestleMania. The problem with that is, it's the new year. You told us you were going to change weeks ago. Now's the time, man. If you're going to captivate people, what better way than the first live Raw, the first Raw of the new year? That's the time to do it. I'm not throwing you a mulligan for sure. On the Monday Night Raw review and reaction show, the first one in weeks that we're about to do this Tuesday morning, I'm not going to let you off the hook. You bring bullshit, this review is going to be scathing. If you can create change and you create captivating television for more than 2 or 3 segments, it'll be a much better review, man. More importantly, fuck the review, we'll be enjoying WWE again. It's not as hard as you think. I know it seems overwhelming because it's been years of horrible trash television on Raw, especially. But it's simplistic basics. If you get back to that, this product, this company, these shows will be 10 times better than what they are and have been. Simplistic basics, man. Start by building and creating larger-than-life superstars. Create storylines we give a shit about. Give us meaningful feuds. And man, we'll be rolling. But if you start with guys like Mustafa Ali and bringing in scrubs from NXT and you're still giving us bullshit matches, nothing feels new, nothing feels fresh, it's the same redundant fucking opening to Raw that doesn't excite anyone, we still have zero pyro, so nobody's excited about what they're about to witness for 3 fucking hours. Little shit like pyro. You bring back pyro and you make people feel like they're at a show that this is the place to be? And oh man, I gotta text fucking my buddy Jimmy, man, he's not here. He's gonna wish he was, though, man. Once the pyro hits and you feel that fucking electricity in your veins, you know this is the place to be. No. For years now, we go to a stupid opening with a just awful song into the opening with half the crowd, half the arena filled, the other half never even showed up, and people are just golf clapping. And that's supposed to excite you? That's supposed to say, hey, this is the place to be for the next 3 hours? Bullshit. Simplistic shit like pyro. It might cost you a little bit in the upfront cost that you have for USA Network, right? What you guys don't know is USA Network gives them, I believe it's $100,000 every single week to put on the show. That's how it works. So USA gives Vince money. And if you upfront buy pyro with it, it's going to go a long way. That's what Vince used to do with that money up front. Those are called production costs. USA foots the bill for a little bit. Again, I believe it's $100,000. Once it went to 3 hours, they may give them more money. So that it may be more than $100,000 for the last several months and years. That's extra money. What are your production costs going to, Vince? Your little fancy LED boards? If that's the case, I'll do without the LED boards. You bring me back the old-fashioned Titantron, and you give me some pyro. And you give me music like that Raw is War music where we were fucking just jamming out, man, and the fucking blood started boiling, you goosebumps, you got the hair fucking raising from your arms, and then the pyro blast, and you knew this was going to be an amazing 2 hours. Now you went to 3 hours, you cut off the pyro, you give us redundant matches with superstars that are nowhere near larger than life, and what did you think was going to happen? Of course half your arena wasn't going to show up. Of course your audience was going to be cut by 80%. From those 6 and 7s down to a 1.7. Simplistic basics. I know what the fuck I'm talking about, but just for shits and giggles, let's see if I do, Vince. Let's see if what I'm saying works by just trying it out. You can't go any lower than a 1.7, can you? Then again, yeah, you can. Let's not go there. Start listening to people that know what the fuck they're talking about. You can sit back and go, oh, he's just a person with a podcast. He's just the guy screaming on YouTube. He's just the guy who thinks he knows it all. Or maybe everything I just said in this opening segment of this podcast here on YouTube, maybe every single word I said was 100% truth. Just maybe. In fact, I'll go out on a limb and say it was, and it is 100% truth. Simplistic basics. Larger-than-life superstars, create them. Give us the storylines we want to see, and let's give your audience those epic feuds, man. And I promise you, business will be rolling again. Maybe not at the Attitude Era level, but it'll be rolling again, man. There's no reason, even in the social media age, that we can't get the 3.0 ratings. Let's get her done. And that, my friends, is your opening segment. We still got a lot more to talk about. I'm loving this new podcast format. Normally, we'd be ending the video right now, but we're going to talk a little bit more. Where do you guys want to go? Ember Moon, Sasha Banks? You want to talk about the ladies a little bit? Because that'll open up fucking Pandora's fucking box. Let's roll on with Nia Jax. How about that? Scene 2, take 1. Nia Jax, Sasha Banks. Action. Alright, so we filmed for scene 1. That took a minute, but there was a lot to get off my chest there, man. And a lot to inform Vince McMahon, his cronies, his henchmen, and his creative department. Hey, man, you gotta create change from the ground up. From the very core of your foundation if you're gonna really give us change. If you're really gonna succeed. That's the truth. I know it's hard to take in, but it is the truth. Scene 2, as you can see, we're simply titling Nia Jax and Sasha Banks. We're going to cover two birds with one stone here. And we're going to start with Nia Jax. This happened over a week ago, but I was during my hiatus at the time, both making videos and social media, so I couldn't really give my comments on it. But Nia Jax pretty much challenged WWE. It was either their .com and or their social media, where they said, what a year for our female division. And they made a collage of all the top moments for the females, and it was, I mean, it was pretty plain to see. They were all the white women, not just the blonde bombshells even, but even the Iconics were in this collage. The Iconics hadn't done anything of importance in 2018. Yet they were even in this collage. So, Nia Jax retweeted it with the caption, "We're over here too," and it had all the emoji slash icons, whatever you call them on your fucking phone, of women of color, starting with, you know, lighter color, but still color from, like, whatever Nia Jax is, Wild Samoan, to Latina, who I know a lot of Latinas that are whiter than Irish and Italian, but these were, you know, a shade darker, and then you went into African American, a shade darker, and so you had all the emoji slash icons, whatever the fuck you call them, and it just, she just put, "We're here too." And so, she's right, but this caused a division within a lot of people. And a lot of people are on two separate sides. I thought a lot more people would be backing Nia Jax because it's true. Where was Sasha Banks and Ember Moon? And even, okay, Nia Jax, Wild Samoan now, is a person of color. That's fine. If that's fucking, however you identify yourself is fine. I don't think a lot of people look at Nia Jax and really look at her as a fucking huge minority, though. That's just my own thought and process and opinion. But alright, if Nia Jax wants to lump herself into a big minority branch, that's fine. If society says you can do that and you are such, then go ahead and play that card. You can lump yourselves in with the Latinas and in the African American crowd, that is fine. But Nia Jax is going to play that card, that's fine. I actually agreed with her up front because I felt the Iconics are getting into this collage. You got all your blonde bombshell, all that shit's happening. Where's Sasha? Where's Ember? Where's Naomi? She won the Battle Royal at WrestleMania, right? But if you think about it, on the other side, that was the only big moment for women of color in 2018. Aside from Naomi winning that Battle Royal at WrestleMania, off the top of your guys' heads, what big moment did any woman of color really have? I'm not including Nia Jax either, guys. I'm not. I'm thinking girls like, and ladies like Zelina Vega and fucking Naomi and Asuka, and Asuka finally got her moment in December. But that whole year, don't tell me Asuka got any importance at all. She was thrown into a nonsensical tag team with Naomi, just like Sasha was thrown in a nonsensical tag team. But when you look at them and Ember Moon just being totally left out of most Monday Night Raws, and when she was on them, she was either losing or in some insignificant bullshit. So, you can say they were left off that collage, but they didn't really have any big moments to be put on the collage. So doesn't that bring back to Nia Jax's original point of, hey, we're over here too, and we didn't have any big moment because you didn't allow us any big moments. But Nia Jax, of all people, to call WWE out is funny to me because she, again, when you think women of color, Nia Jax isn't really the first person to come to mind. When you think WWE is holding down minorities, you're not really thinking the Samoans and Nia Jax because they're giving everything to them. Not only because they're fucking related to The Rock, but because they're the Wild Samoans and Vince has a thing for them. And on top of that, Nia Jax has had title opportunities and even held the title in 2018. So what the fuck is she bitching about? Because she didn't get on that collage on social media? It would have meant a lot more if Sasha did come out and say it, but it looks like Sasha Banks is playing it really fucking safe. Ember Moon doesn't want to step on anybody's toes. Maybe they think they'll truly get fired. I think they wouldn't. I think if they called WWE out, they would be fucking given opportunities. I don't think they'd be fired because how would that look with your public image? We all know Steph McMahon, Vince, Triple H, they don't want to hurt their public image. They wouldn't get fired if they stood up for themselves. And what are you going to say? BC, they would be put in the doghouse if they tried to stand up for themselves. They're already in the doghouse. How much further can you go than obscurity? If you're Sasha Banks, I'd rather be hanging in catering than what they gave you in 2018. Ember Moon can't be put any lower than what she was in 2018. I would have liked it if they stood up for themselves a little bit more, but it was Nia Jax. So it's just ironic to me because she did get those opportunities. And she's trying to put herself in this held down minority category. So that I'm calling bullshit on. However, guys, I am going to say this. There is legit truth to the fact that tremendous talents that happen to be women of color and minority are being held the fuck down. You're telling me Sasha wasn't held the fuck down? You're telling me a woman with Naomi's talent isn't held the fuck down in 2018 when she should have been in fucking epic storylines? Even if you're not going to throw her the title, give her some cool shit. Ember Moon? Obscurity, dude! Ember Moon is one of the best female wrestlers on the planet. Obscurity. Asuka, if it wasn't for this weird Becky Lynch Charlotte thing that transformed from August, September on, Asuka would have never gotten that championship in December at TLC. Asuka was heading into the tag team title division with Naomi. That's where they were headed for most of 2018. And then all of a sudden Vince McMahon pulls Asuka out and gives her the championship? No. It's because they have something different for Becky Lynch and Charlotte going forward. Ronda Rousey thrown into the mix. Asuka was in the best position possible to get the championship. But had it not been for Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and the whole Ronda Rousey, that whole ordeal organically happening the way it did, Asuka would have still been in a nonsensical tag team with Naomi. It's the truth. So I feel there is validity to it, guys. I hate playing the race card and things, you know what I mean? But when it is justified, and when it's plain as day, how can you not call them out on it? The way Asuka was booked in 2018 is bullshit. Again, I'm not counting the middle of December when she finally got a championship, which again, was for reasons far beyond just picking Asuka because she's the best choice. Or because we love Asuka. Naomi, Ember Moon, Sasha Banks, nothing. No wonder they were left off of the fucking collage on social media. They weren't given shit. And if they just sucked, that would be one thing. But the fact is, they're actually pretty fucking epic. Every one of them. Ember Moon is epic. Naomi is epic. Sasha Banks is one of the best, in my opinion, the best in the fucking world. We love you, Charlotte. We love you, Becky. We love you, Asuka. But the way Sasha brings the whole fucking package, not just her wrestling ability and skills, but the way she wears her emotions on her sleeve, the way she can sell, her mannerisms, the way she captivates you. Shit, from theme music alone. She screams superstar, and they've done everything in their power over the last year plus to put her into obscurity and then kick her when she's down even more. And how the fuck are you gonna book Ember Moon the way you did? Sasha Banks is one thing. Ember Moon, not even giving her the time of day the entire year. She debuted right after WrestleMania in April of 2018. Would you know that she did? Of course not. Many of you forget she's even on the main roster every week. That is criminal booking. Naomi wins a Battle Royal at WrestleMania, never really gets a championship shot, never gets any fucking momentum, never gets any significant match. And then in December, I think it was, right? Just last month, she finally gets a title opportunity, totally loses. It was all for nothing. All for what? What are you trying to accomplish? Lacey Evans is now going to captivate us? This was all for Alexa Bliss to grab the spotlight like Alexa Bliss is better than any of those females I just aforementioned? Carmella, I love Carmella, but she gets the spotlight most of 2018 and not the females I aforementioned? So Nia Jax has a gripe. It's funny to me where it's coming from, Nia Jax of all people. But there is a gripe. And I feel that minorities, especially African-American females, African-Americans as a whole, male and female, but when it comes to the women, I don't understand Vince's, I mean, he doesn't want to get away from his blonde bombshells, and when he does, it's still with a certain type, I feel. Every once in a while, he'll throw a fucking, a bone, I understand, right? Oh, we'll cover our public image a little bit. Naomi held the championship for a couple of months. I think that was 2017, correct? And that was only after people like me on this channel, when I started this channel, started fucking calling them out on why Naomi wasn't getting any significance, and then all of a sudden she gets significance, but only for a few months. That's good enough. We saved our public image. 2018 comes around, we'll put everybody back into obscurity. Let's bring out our blonde bombshells. I can fucking speak. Let's bring them back out. Alexa's injured most of the year? Fuck it. Let's make sure she's still on the pedestal above everyone else. We'll give her the championship title. She'll never have to defend it. Maybe every other pay-per-view, we'll put her on a Brock Lesnar schedule. Oh, she literally can't wrestle at all? All right, we'll still make her the boss of all the females. Meanwhile, everyone else is in fucking unimportance and insignificant as fucking obscurity. So yeah, when Nia Jax put that out, I felt there was a lot of truth to it. Again, I'll say for the millionth time, it was funny coming from Nia Jax of all people, but I felt there's truth behind it. So there was a lot of people on social media going, oh, this isn't about race, and we're so sick of everyone bringing up race. I am too. I hate when people just go to race. Let's have facts, and then we can see if it's race or if it's about race or not. I love that. I understand. So I hate when people just jump to race. But for those people going, this isn't about race, can't you see this and that? My question is, are you sure? Because we've been seeing this happen for years and years since Vince McMahon has had the company. Now, I'm not calling him out and saying he's a fucking racist or anything like that, but I am saying, are you sure this isn't about race? Are you sure Vince McMahon just doesn't see these females in that spot or in those spots? Or at least for any lengthy amount of time. Because I'm not so sure. I haven't been so sure, and I'm even more unsure about that today. So that was a justified calling out of WWE. That was a justified tweet. Nia Jax doing it is laughable, but I feel it does have, it's warranted. I feel that it does have backing and logic behind it that would make you think at least, what is going on here? Why did all these females not get anything in 2018? Or in years past too, by the way. I feel that there's substance behind that tweet, man. So I know that was a big talking point, man. A lot of people are on different sides of the fence. A lot of you guys want to know the Amplified Man's position on that. I feel there is a big issue with minorities in WWE, and we have to explore that. I'm not saying, guys, throw everyone who's a minority a championship. Long overdue. They deserve it. I'm just saying there's actually exceptional talent out there. That's not white. That just is an obscurity more often than not. Begs the question why. That's all I'm saying. I'm asking why. Why can't we see a Naomi on top for a while, for a lengthy stay? And if you tell me it's just not that type, BC, her mic skills won't warrant her, again, I can fucking speak, warrant her for a 6-month title run or a 9-month title run. It's just not that type of character, BC. But you're telling me Carmella can carry that for 6 to 9 months. You're telling me Alexa Bliss is one of those females that can carry it multiple times for multiple months at a time. Ember Moon isn't deserving of that opportunity or that spot. Sasha Banks. Come on, bro. I'm going to call your bluff on that. When you put people like Alexa Bliss and Carmella in those spots and in those opportunities, and you're calling up Lacey Evans and saying that's what's going to shake the foundation of WWE and create change, I'm going to call bullshit on that. A lot of great talent is being held down. And Nia Jax brings up a point. It's amazing who's bringing up the point, I understand. She brings up a good point. That's all I'm saying. That's my way on it, man. You ain't going to change my mind on it. We got to see where 2019 leads, man. Sasha Banks, Ember Moon, Naomi, Even Asuka, who's got a championship right now, but if you ain't booking her correctly, we've seen before, the championship means shit sometimes. That championship sometimes is more of a fucking curse than anything. The booking sometimes gets even worse. We'll see how these females get booked in the future. Speaking of Sasha Banks, the other part of this scene 2 of this podcast here on YouTube, Sasha Banks, she's been leaving on her social media. Everyone keeps sending me this. BC, what do you know about Purpose Tour? She keeps hashtagging Purpose Tour. And it's possible when she mentions tag titles for the women. I don't know any more than you guys do. I don't know what this is supposed to mean. And to me, it's bullshit. Purpose Tour. What's the purpose? Leading you to a tag team championship that has been a year in the fucking making that nobody wanted to see in the fucking beginning because somebody like Sasha Banks deserves more than just a championship with Bayley, tag titles, and now she's stuck in a tag team for another fucking year with Bayley? Sasha Banks should be on her own, either going for championships or in meaningful stories and feuds, one-on-one. All of 2018, we see her in a tag team with Bayley. And the only carrot that was dangling in front of everybody is soon there's going to be tag titles. And Sasha's going to win them with Bayley. And everyone was giggly with golf claps. 2018 ended and still no tag titles. Now we're going into 2019. Vince finally announces tag team titles for the women. And now what? Do we get them at the Rumble? Do we get them in February? Do we get them at WrestleMania? And even if we do, now Sasha is still stuck in a tag team with Bayley for 2019. Or at least the beginning of 2019. And then what? They become the first ever tag team champions for the women. So now, they're a tag team still for the middle of 2019. She's still stuck with Bayley. So for the most part, at least, of 2019, Sasha will still be stuck in a tag team with Bayley. If that excites you, if you're a boss and hug connection, whatever the fuck they are, if you're a boss and hugger, then you're going to golf clap the entire way till they win the championship straight up to the point where they lose the championships. If you're somebody like me who loves Sasha Banks and knows what the fuck she's capable of and where she should be on that card every night, then you are not happy about this. This is bullshit. There's no purpose at all to Sasha Banks being in a tag team with Bayley. I don't care if they win 20 tag team titles from continent to continent in 20 different promotions. There is zero purpose. Sasha Banks is too damn good to be held down in a tag team. I don't care what's holding them down. If it's 20 straps holding them down for tag titles, Sasha Banks is too fucking good. So Purpose Tour hashtag is bullshit. Then you go on with the hashtag It's Possible when she talks about tag titles. No shit, Sherlock, it's possible. Everybody and their mother is going to have a turn with those tag titles, I promise you. That's what Vince and WWE does. Everybody gets a turn with titles. It's a participation trophy. So whether Sasha and Bayley are the tag team champions at first or not, they're gonna eventually get it. Who gives a fuck? Of course it's possible. It's going to happen. Hashtag it's inevitable. How's that? No more hashtag it's impossible for Sasha. Hashtag it's inevitable. Everybody gets a turn. So, it's possible is another bullshit hashtag, just like Purpose Tour. It's possible. Like, this is some big fucking thing. BC, it is huge, man. The women, for the first time ever, are gonna have tag titles. That is fine. That is awesome. My problem is, it's with somebody like Sasha Banks the entire year of 2018. Held down for these mysterious tag titles that are gonna someday appear the following year. So all of 2018 was wasted. And then in 2019, we gotta see her stuck with Bayley so they can get the tag titles, hold them, and then lose them. The whole time, Becky Lynch's stock is rising. Charlotte's stock is rising. Shit! Lacey Evans' stock might be rising. And Sasha Banks, she got tag titles. Oh, that's going to be an amazing division. The WWE Men's Tag Division is a criminal fucking outlook on how the pro wrestling industry is headed, for WWE at least, when it comes to tag teams. WWE has created a fucking blueprint of devastation when it comes to their tag division, but the women are gonna somehow captivate us? What? All 10 superstars on each of their rosters for Raw and SmackDown? And that's where Sasha Banks will be in 2019. Still stuck with Bayley. So while you guys are giggling and golf clapping because you love the Boston Hug Collection connection, great for you. I'll be over here waiting and craving the day Sasha Banks can separate from this Bayley bullshit and go on to be the Sasha Banks we all fucking knew at one point in her career and loved. The fucking legit boss. This ain't the legit boss anymore. It's a shell of what she once was. She's a hugger now. If you love that shit, good for you, man. I'm waiting to get the legit boss back. Let's go on to scene 3. Scene 3, take 1. Nia Jax heat. Action! Alright, so we're on to scene 3, and you guys see Nia Jax's name is still up on the slate. But this time, there's no Sasha Banks next to her. No, now this just says Nia Jax heat. Because this scene is dedicated to more Nia Jax. We're not done with her yet, and now she's feeling the effects. She's feeling the heat from that locker room. Guys, yes, this mainly now, these news stories are coming from that tweet that we aforementioned in scene number 2 of this podcast here on YouTube. But don't get it twisted. This really stems way before that tweet. This stems before Nia Jax and what she did to Becky Lynch. This stems all the way back to what she did to Sasha Banks and to the company when she left WWE, took her ball, and ran home, or slightly jogged, or walked fast, or just waddled home. Whatever the fuck she does, she took her ball and she went home because she didn't want to do the job to Sasha Banks. Somebody of the talent level of Sasha Banks and you don't want to do the job so much to the point where you're going to fucking go home and cry about it. And she left WWE because she didn't want to do the job to Sasha Banks. And Sasha Banks is somebody who's not really the most well-liked superstar in that locker room. So for people to garner up that much heat for Nia Jax, for somebody who also has a lot of heat on her like Sasha, that tells you something, man. And we heard a lot of rumors over the last year and a half especially that a lot of people in that locker room do not like the work rate, the work ability, and the work ethic of Nia Jax. Not Sasha. Sasha's the opposite. Sasha's fucking epic with her work rate, ability, skill level, and ethic. But with Nia, not so much on all those areas. And a lot of that locker room saw her as lazy, as hard to get along with, as entitled. But now, as we moved on from that Sasha Banks incident, she did not do anything to garner up any more respect than she already had, or lack thereof. In fact, she goes on before Survivor Series, and she literally throws a bow on purpose, full throttle, no mistake, at Becky Lynch's face. Breaking Becky's nose, giving her a concussion, shattering her right out of the main event at Survivor Series, because I assure you that would have been the main event. That was what everybody was claiming anyway, and all the reputable sources said that that was actually going to be over the Brock Lesnar and at the time AJ Styles match. That ended up getting switched to Daniel Bryan, and we believe a lot of that was because of what happened with Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, Nia Jax, and that whole scenario. So what happened with her and Sasha Banks set the tone for Nia Jax's reception backstage. Then you go on to what she did with Becky Lynch, and you know damn well, not just the stories that we've heard since, but just common sense would tell you that locker room is not going to like you very much. For somebody who's respected like Becky Lynch anyway. And then what you did to her, being that careless and reckless, and all of the people in between, from Sasha Banks and that incident, and the Becky Lynch incident, and all the people that Nia Jax has hurt for real, that's not going to garner you respect in that locker room. But then you go on and you deliver that tweet. Again, I feel there's validity to it. I just feel it's ironic and laughable that it's Nia Jax who's tweeting it. And I commend Ty Dillinger for coming out and calling her out on that bullshit as well. Ty Dillinger comes out and leaves a tweet of his own to Nia Jax and saying that all these women actually had big moments in the entire division, which he's bullshitting, obviously. The entire division did not have epic moments because Vince didn't allow them to. They had the talent and the skill level to get epic moments, but Vince didn't give them those opportunities. But Ty Dillinger stayed a little kayfabe, wanted to please everybody and say, hey, listen, everybody on the roster deserves credit. But he said, and this is a quote, if you're going to be all boo-boo-hoo-hoo and go home and cry about it when you had all this time on TV, calling her out and saying, you're on the TV all the time. You got the championship. You're in the main spots. You're going for the title. But you're going to cry about it? He said, maybe you should spend more time working on your craft instead of crying about it on social media. I love that, man. That was the most relevant Ty Dillinger has been on his whole main roster career, and it ends up being on social media, driving hardcore on Nia Jax. Instead of being all boo-boo on social media, maybe you should be working on your craft more, meaning her wrestling ability and skills, or lack thereof. Ty Dillinger with the W! Nia Jax eats the L there, man. That's just the way it is. Nia Jax diehard fans, you know she ate the L on that one, man. Ty Dillinger delivered a zinger, and it was a zinger because it was justifiable. Nia Jax, of all people, are gonna say she's held down, and her ladies are held down. Nia, you were one of the main focal points in 2018. Dude, you had the championship. Dude, you were in there with Ronda Rousey twice. Dude, you were capturing that nuclear heat from doing what you did with your carelessness and recklessness to Becky Lynch. Dude, you got no room to speak, and Ty Dillinger called you out. I think there is an issue with WWE and minorities. I definitely do, guys. I feel that way. But Nia Jax calling it out and Ty Dillinger calling her out, it's all fair in love and war, baby. Ty Dillinger delivered a fucking zinger. I love that shit. Nia Jax took exception to that, and they were on with a war of words from there. But that'll be another scene for another day once the dust settles and the smoke clears. But for right now, scene 3, the heat on Nia Jax is real. It started with Sasha Banks and not wanting to do the job and then taking your ball and waddling home. Then you started injuring everybody the next year and a half. And then you took out Becky Lynch when her momentum was higher than ever before. No lady in the WWE main roster history was capturing that type of reaction, and you eliminated it. And ever since, Becky Lynch has never had that same momentum. Becky Lynch has not had that same reaction ever since. You, in a sense, killed what Becky Lynch had. Now she's trying to save and salvage what she has left of that momentum in reaction. And then you call out WWE, but are you the right person to do such? The answer is simply no, and you got called out. The heat on Nia Jax is fucking real. And it's going to be interesting to see what 2019 has in store for Nia. And the better question is, how long is Nia Jax going to be with WWE? I don't know if she lasts the entire 2019, guys. This is something we really got to see. Because if people like Ty Dillinger are even calling her out, this makes you know, not think, know that the rumors are true, what we're hearing. If the men are pissed at Nia, you know damn well most of those females have had enough of Nia Jax. Aside from her little clique, obviously. On to scene 4. Scene 4, take 1. Seth Rollins heat. Action! Now, scene 4, guys, we're going to talk Seth. We're going to keep the word heat up there on the slate, and we're just going to change name a little bit. We're going to go to Seth Rollins, man. Beginning of the week, Seth Rollins was in hot water for social media, man. Social media seems to get everybody in trouble with these superstars, especially. And he made some comments about Louis C.K., the comedian, who's been in hot waters himself, who's been in trouble himself for sexual misconduct and obviously fucking saying shit that people found offensive. And he's done a lot of shit that offended people, let's just put it that way, and a lot of bad shit as well. I'm not necessarily condoning some of the shit he's done. But Louis C.K., I think we all can agree, he's a funny motherfucker, right? We all can at least agree on that, or your sense of comedy is much different than mine. Louis C.K. is a funny dude. But again, like most people, man, did some bad shit. Some shit worse than what others would ever do, I understand. I don't know, man. I don't want to go into a rabbit hole and going in circles, man. Louis C.K. is funny, but Louis C.K. has been in a lot of fucking trouble, and justifiably so. He's been in hot water the last year or two. He comes back, he gives this performance, he's given these performances now, he got some leaked material that Seth Rollins had found out about. Seth Rollins took a peek, took a gander, took a listen. Seth Rollins tweeted out, it's funny shit. This new shit's funny and his past shit's funny. Seth Rollins came out and said that. People got offended by that because, you know, sexual misconduct, offending people, you know, Louis C.K.'s in hot water. You can't back him. You can't have your own opinion, Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins was receiving some flack, and Seth Rollins came back with some of these people and said, come on, man, he's funny. Like, what is he doing now that's worse than what he did back in the day? Comedic-wise, comedy-wise. Not saying what he did in his personal life or anything like that, but comedically speaking, how is what he's doing today different than back then? Nobody had a real good answer. So the Amplified Man will tell you what the answer is. Nothing. He's doing nothing wrong other than still offending people. The only difference is, in today's society, you can no longer offend people. You can no longer have freedom of speech. Because the second you offend someone, your career is done. Now you have some side of the people, or there's a whole side of people that go, I think if you do offend people and you make people feel bad about themselves, or you're promoting things that are promoting bullying or promoting stereotypes or promoting people to look at a group or a person or a thing in one way that is derogatory or in a negative light or aspect, then you should not be able to say it on a public platform. Well, isn't that hindering free speech then? It's no longer free speech. If you can take people's career away for things that they're saying, especially a comedian whose job, most of them, if you're a shock jock comedian, is to come out and offend people to get a laugh. You're supposed to play on stereotypes. You're supposed to play on things that would get emotion and draw emotion from people. That's what comedy used to be, and some of the best comedians ever used to pray and play on that. Nowadays, the rules have changed. Because everything under the sun offends somebody, you can no longer say shit. Anything that's humorous, you can't say it if it offends anybody. Doesn't matter if it's funny or not. Doesn't matter if it's humorous or not. So, Seth Rollins is basically, his way of going here is, comedy's dead then. What are they doing now that differently than they were doing back in the day? Nothing other than people have gotten more soft. And you can look at it and say, no, the world's just getting better and we're no longer tolerating offensive language or offensive comedy. No, what you're doing is you're killing free speech. You're turning a whole society and a whole world into pansies and pussies. And they're going to grow up to be pansies and pussies. And every time they're not coddled and every time they're offended, they're going to cry like a little bitch until somebody pats them on the head and gives them a candy bar and says everything's going to be okay, let's go to our safe space. And that's the fucking truth. Seth Rollins and Louis C.K. is just the story that we're going to stem and catapult ourselves to the next level of this scene. Which is, where the fuck do we go? Is comedy dead? It looks it to me. Because you can't do anything or say anything because it's going to offend everybody. Comedy has always about going to the line. It's always been about going to the line and then stepping over that line. That's what makes it funny. Making people uncomfortable. Getting a laugh from places you never thought were possible. But you can't help but fucking laugh or ooh and ah and oh. That's comedy, man. You can't step over the line anymore. You can't even go to the line. Comedy is fucking dead. And all because we need to make sure nobody's offended. We need to make sure that we're not fucking offending people and we're not using any foul language and that we're not being derogatory or negative. But as long as you're not offending anybody, you have your free speech. Fuck that and fuck you. I want my free speech at all fucking times, no matter what the fuck you call it. Derogatory, negative, or I offended you. I don't give a fuck. It's my right to do such. Nowadays, people are losing their fucking careers. You're outed and ousted and put into a fucking obscurity. You're sitting there with Sasha Banks, who that poor female hasn't done anything to be put in obscurity. But shit, if you're a comedian who wants to toe the line or even walk up to the line, you're out. So Seth Rollins was just asking a question, man. Why? I can't think this guy is funny. I know personal issues, personal troubles, personal problems, personal mistakes, personal fucking shit that he's done that is unjustifiable. But if a motherfucker is funny and he has funny content, I can't call it funny? And all these people went on social media and slammed Seth Rollins because he thought somebody was funny. The fuck, dude? Is this really the society we live in? I'm not asking for the Attitude Era back. That could never come back in today's society because it would offend fucking everybody. A guy running around with a chainsaw, Vince McMahon with a half-naked fucking Stacy Keibler in the locker room. Out in the ring, you got a fucking fully naked Sable with Mark Marrow. That shit would never fly today, I understand. Every fucking women's movement and charities would be dropping off, and Susan G wouldn't want to do business with you, and advertisers would be pulling, and mothers would be writing in letters. I understand. You're never going to get anything like the Attitude Era, and you don't need it. You can still be highly entertaining by just doing the simple things I told you, the simplistic basics, at the top of this video, at the top of this podcast in scene 1. You don't need to be the Attitude Era, but it sucks that you can't ever have it again. That's what sucks. I would at least want the option. If I ever want to go edgy with my wrestling company and do something like the Attitude Era, at least I have the option. In today's society, you don't even have that option. Your company would be destroyed, you would never work in this town again, and you would be ousted. Slammed into obscurity because you're offending people. It's bullshit. People are coming down on Rollins like he was the one who was in hot water. No, it was Louis C.K. He's just saying Louis C.K. shit is funny. You're going to feel uncomfortable in this world and in this society. It's called living. I don't care if you offend me, if you want to make fun of me, if you want to fucking pick on me, if you want to fucking attempt to bully me. It's funny because I'm using me as an example. That would never fucking happen because we'd be throwing bows instantly. But who the fuck cares? It's your right to do such, just like it's my right to react however I want. But your career shouldn't be over. You shouldn't be slammed for feeling a certain fucking way. Petitions online, rallies, protests. What the fuck? Rollins is saying I thought something was funny, and the amount of people that slammed him in the heat that he took was astronomical. It shows you how much of a pussied generation in society we are living in today, and it's fucking sad. Allow me to say this. Louis C.K. shit, past and present, is funny as fuck. All of these comedians that toe the line and then cross the line, it's funny as fuck. Most of it, anyway. If you're offended, great. It means they're doing their job. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to be a little bit offended. It's called living. You're not always going to be pampered and have your little safe space. Grow the fuck up, man. Then again, in today's society, you don't even need to. You could be the little pansy pussy ass bitch that you were when you were 5 years old, when you're 50 years old these days, because fuck, if you're offended, we're gonna hold you, coddle you, hug you, and put you in the safe place, and we're gonna fix the people that offended you. Fucking A, man. I am so glad I got to live in a time in this world where you actually had to mature and grow up on your own. You had to learn harsh lessons that molded you into a tougher, stronger human being. Mentally, physically, psychologically. It molded you into seeing what exactly you are capable of. What you can achieve. Today's society... This is laughable. These kids don't know what the fuck living, truly living, really is. These kids today don't know what it is and what it means to have to work your fucking ass off and to be treated unfairly in doing such, to reach and to achieve your dreams, aspirations, and goals. Today, they're handed shit, or they beg for it, or they petition for it. These kids, I'd fucking laugh my ass off if it wasn't so damn tragic. One day, these kids are gonna get smashed right in the fucking mouth. And they're not gonna know what the fuck to do because they've been coddled from day one. Seth Rollins, I'm with you, my man. Louis C.K.'s shit's funny as fuck. You don't like it? Tough shit. Start a petition. Start a fucking protest. We'll see you on the front lines. Colliding. I'll be on Team Rollins, I assure you. Damn, can't believe it's already the end credits, guys. We're almost toward the end of this, the very first podcast format for YouTube that I've ever put out there. Over an hour and a half already. How kick-ass is that? That's, man, this has been awesome. I had some reservations at first, like... I'm so used to my Raw review videos, 40, 50 minutes plus usually. Impromptu videos during the week, usually about a half an hour. But to go an hour and a half or around that, in this case, well over an hour and a half, man, now you're talking, you know, it's a totally different psyche. It's a totally different mindset that you have to get into. When you start talking about podcasts, you're thinking really... audio files and audio format, because a lot of people think of podcasts and play podcasts for you to accompany them on their voyage. Either they're going to the gym for a while, or they're going on a long drive, or they have a lot of errands to do, and they want to listen to a good podcast, man. So you really do have to, you know, it's lengthy. It's much more time than I've ever done on videos. You have to cover a lot of topics. You have to stay engaged, entertaining, and all that stuff. I never doubted myself. It was just about finding my groove, and was I going to be able to do that instantly and naturally? And all my questions have been answered, and that is a resounding yes. This came naturally as fuck. In fact, if you tell me I get to talk pro wrestling with you guys double the amount of time, even triple the amount of time on a podcast format, I'm fucking down, guys. And I still get to do it on my terms, which is YouTube, which is in front of a camera, so you guys really get all my passion. This has just been a blast. For everybody who has spent every single minute and every second of this podcast with me, then we all did this, my first ever podcast format on YouTube. We did it together, and that's badass. Thank you. The end credits are going to be kind of just like the opening credits on these podcasts, whereas they're going to be kind of rapid-fire topics. Big stories in the pro wrestling world throughout the week, but not necessarily our big feature stories and scenes. So there's still big topics, though, that I want to talk about. The opening credits in this podcast were a little bit longer because we did talk Mean Gene Okerlund, and we did talk AEW, which in its own right was a pretty big fucking featured story. So the end credits will kind of go a little bit quicker, though. It's going to be a little bit of rapid fire. And I want to start with Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw got beat 2 weeks in a row now by SmackDown. Now, yes, it was the holidays, but still, SmackDown was on Christmas night and on New Year's night. So, how the fuck you going to tell me more people were not tuned out on those nights? No, SmackDown just brought the better show. 2 weeks ago, SmackDown scored the 1.9 to Raw's 1.7. Last week, SmackDown scored a 2.0 to Raw's 1.9. So holidays, schmolidays, whatever excuse you got, SmackDown takes the W 2 weeks in a row. Now, Raw's going to make sure that doesn't happen 3 weeks in a row. They're coming tomorrow night with a blitz. Brock Lesnar is returning. John Cena's coming back to Monday Night Raw. They got a couple of advertised matches, I believe. So they're really exploding this thing. But my problem here is, Are they just putting all of their eggs into one basket just to get this one big draw, get everyone's attention again, and then next week, it's back to the same old redundant bullshit? That's what I'm thinking here, guys, because we've seen Raws like this, especially before WrestleMania. This just happens to be before even Royal Rumble, where they send in a lot of the part-timers, they promote a big-time Raw, and then it's just business as usual, the redundant bullshit, nonsensical trash every week after. This could be Raw and WWE and Vince just throwing all their eggs into one basket for this 1 week. And if that's the case, that's not change. And that's why I'm not going to throw you a mulligan. If you say you're going to change, bringing in Brock Lesnar and John Cena is not going to do it. That could create some interesting and fun segments, if done correctly. I don't fucking hold my breath for Vince or WWE's creative and lack thereof staff. But if you create something cool for them, then yeah, that could be a couple of good segments. But that doesn't equal change. Your new faces don't equal change. Change starts from the opening fucking segment to the end segment. The opening fucking introduction of music. Are we going to get pyro or not? Or is there going to be a different feel? Is there going to be... Everything's just got to be different. It's got to be, here's the thought, changed. It's what you promised. Or is change just bringing in some new guys, bringing in a couple of part-timers here and there, and giving us Sasha Banks and Bayley versus the Riot Squad? This time it won't be every week, though. Change will be, we'll get it every third week. Golf clap for Vince McMahon and his change. But that's a big thing, man. SmackDown did score 2 W's. Holiday schmolidays. That's 2 big W's. Toni Storm. Moving on with these closing ending credits. Toni Storm had her social media hacked. On her social media, or her phone was hacked, something like that. Basically along the lines of Paige. Different a little bit, obviously, but along the same lines. And she had these nudes leaked out. Somebody hacked her accounts and leaked out these nudes. Listen, sucks for Toni Storm. I understand that. It's a different day and age. I cannot just say everyone's a victim if they're putting nudes on their phone at all. Or their nudes are on your computer. Growing up, we just didn't do that. Now, granted, we didn't have a fucking cell phone in school or anything. I'm not saying Toni Storm is in school. But it's a different day and age. Kids are growing up in this type of world. It's a good thing we didn't have cell phones when the Amplified Man was growing up. Because shit, I would be all over everybody's fucking computer. I would just be sending shit out every time I felt good about my... Hey, BC's up, bitch. Pre-shower Amplified Man. I don't give a fuck. You know? And if it got leaked out, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Some people are different. Some people, shit gets leaked out and they shut down their social media. They deactivate all their accounts, which is what Toni Storm did. Me, if I was in school and I was giving that shit, or an adult, and shit got leaked, so be it. Let's all comment about it, have some fun with it, and move the fuck on. People are different. Toni Storm did not like it at all, nor should she. It's a especially when you're a female and that's supposed to be personal, and somebody hacks your shit, and without your permission, obviously, sends it out. That's bullshit, and that's fucked up, man. And for Toni Storm, that was tragic. Paige said she was, I don't know if she said she was almost suicidal, but Paige said she was really fucked up for a long time after that. And it's understandable. Just because it wouldn't faze me doesn't mean it wouldn't faze other people, man. And especially if you're a female trying to make your way up in the pro wrestling world and trying to get respect, and that shit happens, that's fucked up. And the person who did that, same thing I said about Paige. Whoever would actually hack somebody's account, take shit like that, and send it out to the world, you are the biggest piece of shit. You are the biggest piece of douchebag that is in existence. Same thing I said about Paige and her story. Same thing I'll say about Toni Storm's story. Whoever fucking broke into Toni Storm's shit or leaked it or whatever the story is, you are a douchebag. Toni Storm, we all are fucking supporting you. So just know that, man. But it's a different day and age. And if you're going to take pictures or you're going to put nudes on your computer, your phone, whatever the case, don't expect to play the victim if shit hits the fan later. That's just the truth, guys. Don't expect to think that shit won't fucking come out later, man. Always, if you're going to do that, always think the worst could happen. With social media, with videos, with photos that you're sending out and taking of yourself. I understand. Tony Storm, by the way, guys, Paige, Tony Storm, anybody who takes the nudes, it's not their fault. You should be able to do whatever you want with your devices, man. Sometimes you just wake up and you're feeling good about yourself. You know, it's been 6 days straight, you felt like shit about yourself. You wake up, you're feeling great, you want to take a photo, you want to show it to somebody. I get it. But if shit hits the fan later and that photo gets out somehow, some way, maybe it's not even a leak. Maybe somebody fucking lost their phone, somebody found the phone, fucking said that shit. Who knows what the story is? Don't expect to play the victim and cry cats and dogs about it later, man. Always know, I'm trying to teach younger people this, always know that if you're going to take those photos, they could get out to the world later on in life. These young ladies, unfortunately, they're finding that out. That sucks, man. Nobody should have to go through that. I just said, guys, the biggest douchebag in the world is somebody that would actually do something like that. To Tony Storm, to Paige, to these other females especially, but to anybody. That's a douchebag. I don't support that. I don't condone that at all. But if you really are going to react this way, guys, I would not take the photos then. I would not take the videos. Tony Storm literally deactivated all of her social media. It's not a day and age where you could just take photos and videos and you think, that's it. As long as I send it to 1 or 2 people, I'm good. It doesn't work that way, guys. So, of course we all support Tony Storm, too. This was the most weirdest shit, man. I can't stand this. Everybody came out on social media, all the peers and all the wrestlers, and I support Tony Storm. Hashtags. Tony Storm, we're with you. And this, and I'm like, when did we not support Tony Storm? Of course we support Tony Storm. We're human beings. We're not fucking assholes to that degree. I mean, I'm the boogeyman, the bad guy, and the asshole, I always call myself, and you guys make it a point to call me that as well. I understand I'm a bad guy and I'm the asshole, but not to a douchebaggery degree. We're not fucking douchebags. Of course we support her. We didn't have to come out on social media and make this big spectacle. I feel that more attention was brought onto this by everybody showing their supposed support than what would have been brought onto it. This thing maybe would have been swept under the rug a lot quicker if everybody didn't make this big fucking ordeal. Everything has to be a movement these days. What happened to Tony Storm? Let's start the hashtags. Let's start the support movement. Tony Storm is a grown-up, strong, big girl. She's going to be just fine. She's got her family and close friends that are going to support her. Her fans and even just wrestling fans, don't even have to be Tony Storm fans. They're going to support her because it's the human thing to do. It is the right thing to do. But we don't have to turn it into a movement and get 4 separate hashtags to show we support her. She took nudes. They got leaked. You'd make it sound like she just fucking changed the world for the better. She just found a cure for some fucking disease. She just fucking helped humanity, and some group is coming down hard on her for some reason, and we're supporting her. It was so weird to watch this unfold. You would think something... You know, listen, it's tragic. For someone like Tony Storm, that's probably the last thing she wanted to have happen. To her, this is tragic. I understand. If you truly support her... I was going to say DM her, but she took off the social media. But if you truly support her and you are one of her close friends or family, then you have her cell number. Just show your support that way. Everyone jumps on social media and starts these hashtags, man, and it just brought even more attention to the point where I don't blame her for deactivating social media at that point. Ah, man, it's just one of those sticky situations that we never had to deal with growing up. We didn't have cell phones in school, so sure as hell we didn't have to fucking worry about it by the time we're adults. It's my prerogative if I want to show you my fucking how you doings, right? And then there's people like me that will show you their how you doings, and we don't give a fuck who sees it. And then there's people like Tony Storm and Paige, that was the last thing they wanted to have happen. I understand, but for the future, for anyone listening, do not do that shit if you don't like the outcome when the outcome isn't to your liking. That's all I'm saying. But for Toni Storm, all the best, man. This sucks. It really does, man. Nobody should have their privacy against their will violated and then distributed. That's fucked up. Where else, man? We want to go? Man, we're going to 2 hours, man. I love this format. One more story, and then I'll stop for now, man, until next Sunday. Obviously, we're going to do the Raw review tomorrow. We're going to do SmackDown review on Wednesday morning. And then we'll have an impromptu video later this week as well. But I will definitely see you guys next Sunday for podcast number 2, baby, amplified style. But I do want to talk Becky Lynch blasting Corey Graves. We're talking about social media. How can we not talk about Corey Graves says something to Bayley on social media? I can't wait for our romance angle. Obviously, maybe it's an inside joke. Maybe it's not. I've been out of the loop for a couple weeks. I don't fucking know. But whatever the fuck that meant, a fan replied to Corey Graves and said, maybe you should do a romance angle with Becky Lynch. Corey Graves responds to that fan with, maybe she definitely could use it. So this brought Becky Lynch into the fold. Becky Lynch responds to Corey Graves and says, I could use a lot of things. One of them is surely not a middle-aged man still in his emo phase in skinny jeans. What? That was awesome. She blasts Corey Graves saying, I could use a lot of things. One of them is surely not a middle-aged man still in his emo phase in skinny jeans. This obviously pissed off Corey Graves. Corey Graves responds with, oh boy, here we go. The same old notorious MMA, which is Conor McGregor's Twitter handle. The same old Conor McGregor spiel, basically, is what Corey Graves responded with. And he said, Becky, ain't you friends with Conor? You should be doing much better than that. Meaning her response to him. So they kind of went back and forth. I love this, man. You're not going to go toe-to-toe with Becky Lynch on social media and win. You're just not. Corey Graves got owned. He's going to have to own that shit. He's going to have to take that L and sleep with that for a few more nights at least. Middle-aged emo man in skinny jeans. Wow, did Corey Graves get blasted. Becky Lynch gives 0 fucks on social media. I love that shit. Along my lines, I give 0 fucks in these videos, so that's my type of people. I'm shutting the fuck up for this week's podcast, guys. Thank you so much. Episode number 1 is in the books. I hope whatever you guys did while listening to this podcast and or watching as well, right? I hope you guys were thoroughly entertained. I had a great time filming this podcast. I was entertained by myself, if that matters. I love talking pro wrestling with you guys. So you're damn sure, man. Better bet your ass we're going to keep doing this in 2019. I can't wait till episode 2 already. We haven't even fully closed out episode 1. It's been great. Thank you guys so much. I can't thank you enough. I'll spend another half an hour just thanking you guys. So I'm going to shut the fuck up. Holla at your boy because he's fucking out. For now, the Amplified Man. It feels so good to say this for the first time in 2019. For 2019? I'm fucking losing it. 2019! Check you!